So I think it's live. I think we're live on Facebook. Just check that nothing's open that's going to give us a lot of feedback. And just check. I want to also check whether the stream has got the Q&A. Pardon me? Michelle's going to comment in the background. She can talk a little louder though so I can hear her. So we've got a thing here saying, new, put on a mask and give yourself a fun look. Oh, okay, so that's on. So I've got Facebook Live going here on this side. Well, they're both basically here. I must try to remember to look up to the camera. I've got YouTube Live. We're trying to get them both running together. So good morning, everybody. How are you? Or good evening, or whatever time of the day it is with you, wherever you are in the world. We are in Malaysia at the moment. I'm just seeing if I can find... So Alva, good morning. Dave, Alex, Jamaican girl. Hi, Kelly. Keith, Byron, good morning, Byron. How are you, buddy? Now, hopefully Michelle will keep an eye on the chats over on this side as well, because as it's going live on Facebook, you managed to find Facebook live?
Alva said there's no video in the chat.
No video? Where on YouTube? How come there's no video? Well, there should be video. Have you got video on your... let me go back into the... Let me go into the live control. There should be video, although, having said that, is there no video? Would anyone just confirm if there's any video at all on YouTube? Because if there isn't, then maybe I've got something set up wrong. Where's the ingestion settings? So has everybody got video or not? Let's just check whether the... Are we getting any responses? Keith, you do have video?
It's working on YouTube and Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't frighten me and tell me there's no video. I've been setting this up all morning.
I will apologise.
That's all right. That's all right. I had this sudden feeling that that maybe the video wasn't working. It's really tricky. It's a long time. I did a live show last night. Didn't even mean to. I was probably sat in my pajamas, getting ready to go to bed, and suddenly the show went live. If you've done YouTube before, if you're a YouTuber, you'll know that the live streaming app is a nightmare. But I went live last night by mistake. Alva, that's fine. Hi Ryan, hi Erin. That's Keith Cunningham. Now I hopefully also have managed to get the chat to show on the screen, so you should be able to see this even if you're watching this later on. It's not live, not on Facebook, but on YouTube. The chat should come up on the side. I'm not sure how it works. Good morning, everybody. Where are you? Where you are in the world? Little comment. Tell me where you are in the world. I know a few of you are in the USA. Anyone in sunny California? Anybody in Australia? Now, Kelly, if you can't see me, I think everybody else can. So maybe if you just check on YouTube and see. Can you send the link in the chat, Michelle? In the actual chat box of this YouTube session. Okay, nothing came up on my screen. No. Normally when you type something, it'll come up. Toma, is it Toma, Wisconsin? In the countryside, nice Byron. I didn't know. Hollandale Beach, Florida, that's Chris. Hey Chris, how are you, buddy? Utah, all places I've been to, lovely. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that's Bot, Beast of Troll. Excuse me, I get my Hitchhiker's Guide references are a bit rusty. Yes, this is a live Q&A at the moment, Voyagery. Kuwait, HTMTRP in Kuwait. Hey Stuart, St Kilda. St Kilda is not far. I used to live in Glen Waverley, and I've got a daughter that lives down that way, and a son that lives not far from St Kilda as well. Jake, you're in KL. Good stuff. I'm in Kuala Lumpur at the moment, sat not far from the KL Tower, place I've stayed before. We're here for about a month. Now, hi Amtam in Colorado on Facebook, how are you? Hello Facebook, by the way. So I can see the comments coming up on Facebook as well. Have you got the Facebook comments, Michelle? Yeah. Let me know if I miss any comments if you can. They're going a bit fast here. So, look, if you have any questions at all, or you know, food related questions are always good. Do repeat them if I don't see them. Maybe I'll see them. Byron, Vincenzo, I think is in Italy now. I'm not sure. I kind of wish we could have got together, but I know Vincenzo and I will get together at some point and do some lovely Italian cooking. Oh dear. That's my glass of water all over the floor. Unfortunately, there was a lens cap on the table right next to my glass. So I've just laid it down. Michelle's taking care of it for me. I've just laid my glass down on the lens cap. And now we've got a full glass of water all over the floor, but that's life. Now, we're in this, I think of it like a student pad almost, although it's way too fancy for a student pad, but it does only have a two-ring electric burner, a real nasty little microwave, and let me just move that out of the way so we can get some of this water up. Actually, can you get me some kitchen roll tissue or something? It's all over the laptop as well. And little bit of a disaster. That full glass of water that you just saw me drinking from is now all over the keyboard, and such is life, because for some reason I decided to take the lens cap and lay it right next to my glass of water, and I just laid it down, tipped over, and these never mind. It'll be fine. Byron, I'm always planning to go to France or Germany. I was in France and Germany just recently, and but I wasn't really filming there. I don't know if you saw my filming in Austria as we drove up through Germany. We stayed in Austria. I'm going to have a little. So, Mustafa, we've been following your channel, Roti Bun video. This is on that's a very long comment on Facebook.
It's asking me what street food they're coming to Malaysia next week, and they want to know what street food.
Wow, next week the street food in Malaysia at the moment is fantastic because it's puasa at the moment. So in the late afternoons, particularly in Kuala Lumpur here, we're not far from a place called the Quill Mall, but that's a vanilla, horrible sort of shopping mall. But just behind the Quill Mall is some fantastic food markets. The food is just wonderful. Just get out there and try absolutely everything. You know, if it looks good, generally is good. So yes, Byron, I was in Germany, southern Germany, in the Schwarzwald, down towards the Bavarian mountains and things, and I also drove up through France. I used to live in France, and unfortunately we didn't get time to spend much time in France this year. I would have loved to have spent several months there and revisited some old places, old friends, but it'll happen. Klogbend, yes, Heil Hitler.
Rebecca Perkins says, what age did you start cooking/baking?
Rebecca, I started cooking when I was very young. We were lucky when we were children. There were what they call home economics, and I used to love all that sort of thing. So I started cooking when I was young, and then I rekindled. I worked in as a businessman basically, but in the computer industry for quite a number of years. And then when we were in France, I got back into the food industry. We had our own little farm there with all our own produce and animals and what have you, and I got back into teaching about food. Michelle's been a chef most of her adult life, so I drop in and out of the food industry because I've got other interests as well. But right now, yeah, Byron, Michelle's doing well. Hi from Georgia. I was just talking to somebody. Hi, Lisa. Somebody asked me this morning whether I would be going to the USA and had I ever been there. And actually, they're from North Carolina. And I was just reminiscing about what a beautiful time we've had. We've been to Georgia, North Carolina a couple of times. And I was lucky enough to be there during the fall and go through the Blue Ridge Causeway. And the colours were just absolutely beautiful. So happy times. Chris, I would love to see do some quick bread recipes. Chris, I don't know if you've ever seen the flatbread, the very simple flatbread that I make on the channel. That bread doesn't get more tastier and much quicker than that flatbread. It is so versatile. But I will be doing more bread. We've got so much buns in the oven. We've got so much potential bread that we can be doing. I have a tendency to look at the phone, which is broadcasting to Facebook. HTMTRP, Arab food. Yeah, I had an invitation last year to go to Iran, and it was very tenuous. So I'd love to go there. I'd absolutely love to study more food from the Middle East. But we have done so much. You know, we've been traveling for 2.5 years, would you believe it? We set off 2.5 years ago from our home in Melbourne, Australia, and we have been all over the world. And one of the things we found as we've travelled is that it's a lot harder to... We travelled when we were younger and we just had no real agenda. We were just travelling with our family and having fun. But when you travel and try to do YouTube at the same time, it's a lot harder to do than we first imagined. So we're looking for somewhere to settle down at the moment for maybe 6 months to a year and you know, get back into a regular schedule. I mean, we've actually managed to keep a pretty regular schedule here on YouTube. At least once or twice a week we've tried to put up videos. Harung on Facebook, you're saying about easy breakfast. You've been struggling for breakfast. I found whilst we've been travelling, we've put on quite a bit of weight. I put on quite a bit of weight. I shouldn't say we've put on quite a bit of weight. I use the royal we. We were having, I did a video recently about overnight oats, and overnight oats is super simple. You put the oatmeal and don't necessarily use full cream milks, just use, you can use soy milk, almond milk, and you make those overnight, and in the morning they're absolutely delicious with some fruit. that's what I would suggest. And just lately we've been having a lot more fruit because here in Malaysia we've actually found a beautiful Greek yogurt that's super like the old Greek yogurts, a proper strained yogurt. It's not low fat, by the way. Don't go for those. There is no such thing as a low fat Greek yogurt. If you're eating that stuff, you're eating something with reconstituted camel phlegm in it or something. I'm not sure, but it's certainly not Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt should be really dense and creamy, and we've been having this beautiful Greek yogurt with mangoes. I've got some mangoes over there at the moment. They don't look particularly pretty, but they taste absolutely gorgeous. The mangoes here in Malaysia are fantastic at the moment. There are lots of questions. So for breakfast ideas, I'd say go for the overnight oats. You mean banana bread recipes? Chris, I've got banana bread recipes, and I've also got some pumpkin bread. I love pumpkin bread. My American friends used to always make pumpkin bread at Halloween. I think pumpkin bread should be made throughout the year. It's so delicious. Very similar to banana bread, but got, I think, just another level of sweetness and spiciness to it. Byron, French baguette recipes, tips for making them. A lot of it is getting moisture. You have to get the right balance of moisture into your dough, and then you have to get your oven good and hot, and you want steam in the oven to encourage that lovely crust to develop. And I know, Byron, you'd like me to do a more traditional. I did a sourdough French bread recently on the channel, and that had a beautiful crust actually, because it had a high moisture content. It was a high hydration loaf. So yes, I will look a little bit more into doing traditional. Actually, at the moment we don't have an oven of any description, and as I think I said, we've got a microwave there that has no real timer on it. You're just one of those ones you have to twist and guess. Thank you, Steve. Steve Walsh says the flatbread recipe is spot on. The flatbread recipe is possibly one of the most delicious and versatile recipes. You can add cumin seeds in there. You can even add a little bit of fruit in there if you like. Recently here in Malaysia we had a Kashmiri naan. Now, I love naan breads as they are, but Kashmir naan is I actually had one just here in KL. It was pretty disgusting. They just put a little bit of jam on it and made a regular naan. But actually, if you get a real Kashmiri naan, it's got all the little bits of dried candied peel and fruit in it. So you could actually add fruit and candied peel into your flatbreads as well, and make a really unusual recipe just from that flatbread recipe that's on my channel. Keith, Erin is having seeds on the patio. It's a Canadian drink, Clamato and vodka. Nice. Well, I've got a glass of water and most of it's on my feet. Good morning, Richard from England. Steve, make a healthy stinging nettle recipe. Man, when we used to have our farm, we had a farm in France, and we used to go out foraging and picking wild fruits. I never really found anything I liked with nettles. I don't know. You can get sorrel, wild sorrel. We used to get a lot of it growing on our land in France, and sorrel is great for salads. But elderflower and elderberry is really good. But I never really came across a nettle recipe that I liked. You can make a version of Welsh rarebit with nettle if you want, but yeah, I'll think about it. Hound jog. Yes, Bisa Trail. Overripe bananas. It's a great way of using up overripe bananas, to use them in pancakes, to use them in banana bread. Once they've got that lovely rich caramelization, then why not? Got to make use of them. Do we have nettles in Malaysia? I don't know, to be honest. There's not a great deal of flora that I recognise here in Malaysia as being similar to what you would have in Europe, or even that similar, apart from the palms and things that we have in Australia. Wow, Byron, you are a linguophile. If you're proficient in German, French, Japanese, Latin, Spanish, Italian, Norwegian, Korean, Mandarin, Danish, Swedish, Dutch, Brazilian, and Portuguese. Wow. Get on it and translate some of my videos for me into some of those languages. I speak a reasonable amount of a little pidgin bit of some of those languages. I love learning new languages as we travel, but you never really get to learn enough to be fully proficient. Richard's asking about will I make Malaysian satay? I'm actually going to do a Malaysian series. We're here only for about a month in Malaysia at the moment, and we're not doing Malaysian food particularly, but I do have quite a bit of Malaysian food already on the channel, and I will be doing a Malaysian series because there is so much good food that I have learnt to love and how to cook and prepare here in Malaysia. But we need a kitchen to sit down and teach some of those recipes. Charleston, South Carolina. Hi. We was talking about Charleston just this morning with someone online. Well, thank you, Alejandro Comisario. Pardon me if I've not got your name right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm passionate a little bit about rice cooking, so that's great. Elderflower is great. The berries, the flowers themselves, very versatile plant indeed. Fazal, hi. Now, pine needles are high in vitamin C. I wouldn't really eat pine needles. I'm not sure 100%. I vaguely remember looking at some pine needle ideas, but yeah, they can be pretty toxic chemicals in pine needles, so I'm not sure. Jenny Chong, Malaysian food is the best. Yes, Malaysian food is fantastic. I particularly love the nasi lemaks I've been having here. In some of the places where I found that it's really, really delicious. You've got to get the right amount of coconut, I think, into the rice and and I like it with the Nonya fried chicken or Malay fried chicken. I've made ramen, Fazil, I've made ramen many times, but I don't think I've made ramen. You see, what I tend to try to do on the channel is to think of series ideas and then I'll run with them. And if ramen was, if I was doing a series of noodles or maybe Japanese food or something, I haven't done it yet on the channel. I will do sometime. Chris, sous-vide cooking, I think, is, honestly, I think it's possibly a little overrated. It's one of those things that are quite fashionable because one or two of it has its place, but I'm not a big fan of introducing unnecessary tools into cooking that make it complicated and hard work. I mean, certainly sous vide does trap a lot of the moisture into meats, and it has some benefits. But in reality, some of the let's take a decent piece of fish, or perhaps a good cut of beef. And I have had beef sometimes done on a barbecue that is just to die for in flavour. I've had fish that's been lightly fried or grilled that is just spectacular. Whether sous vide could actually add anything to that, I suspect not, to be honest. You know, when food is good, it is good, and often it's so. So I think sous vide has a place, but I'm not sure that it's something that I would use on a regular basis. So sorry if you've just gone out and bought yourself a sous vide machine. I do have a sous vide cooker, and I have used them. Oh, look at this, by the way. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? We just made last night. This is getting a little bit dry, but strawberry cheesecakes. Yum yum. And this one here, you know, one of the great things in Malaysia is you can get these. My favourite digestive biscuits. So we've made this beautiful no-bake strawberry cheesecake. I made a little bit of a gelatine, beautiful strawberry jam set on the top. Hi Graham, on Facebook. Graham's saying he saw me on Johnny's channel. Johnny's a good friend of mine from Thailand, by the way. And I don't know if you can see. Let me just get a little piece of this because I didn't eat it last night because I was full. We had so much of it. Excuse me, guys. Wow, that is so good. That strawberry jelly on top. I just took some of the strawberries, cooked them down in a caramel sauce, added a little bit of gelatin because strawberries don't have a lot of pectin, and laid that across the top, and that makes all the difference. It's sweet. Yum. Is Angie in? Good morning, Angie. Want a bit of cheesecake? Leslie's in as well. Morning, sweetheart. Oh, have another piece. That is really nice. I'm hungry. It's morning.
Richard Fielder said, are you cooking, travelling and YouTubing full-time still? You put out a lot of content. How did you start out?
Richard, I am doing it full-time. I wouldn't say that YouTube is a sustainable source of income to do full-time, but I've chosen to do it full-time at the moment. We did YouTube for a couple of years back home in Australia, and then decided in our wisdom that we'd suit off around the world, Michelle and I, and thought we could continue to do the cooking as we went. We have been able to, and actually if you look back, we've put a heap of content out over the last 2 years, but it's been a lot harder than I anticipated. So yes, we do travel full time. We've travelled for 2.5 years, and I hope I've answered your question there. Brazil, rotten egg coffee. Look, the eggs weren't rotten in Vietnam, but the place was pretty rotten. I can't remember the name of it now, but you can watch the video back and see. It just had one of those places that in Vietnam where you read in all the guides, oh, best egg coffee, and then you get there and you realise that people are just sort of shut up shop, you know, from behind their eyes. There's nothing going on. There's no passion in the industry that they're working in, and they're just making a lot of money out of poor quality stuff. So it wasn't rotten eggs, but the service was great. And just 3 doors down from that place in Hanoi was a wonderful egg coffee place where the lady was excited to explain what she was doing. And, you know, it's just the difference. Actually, egg coffee I'll be making, I've just almost finished editing. We've got to get a few photographs, and I should be putting it up this Sunday. So if you want to see how to make Vietnamese egg coffee, check out on Sunday. Alva, I don't know what you said. Hey, you won't answer me. I'm sorry.
He wants to know if you make cheese pretzel bites.
Cheese pretzel bites. Alva, I don't even know what cheese pretzel bites are. I'm guessing that... no. I will have a quick Google of cheese pretzel bites. But no, I haven't... Is there any other questions that I've missed there, Michelle? Oh, well, they look like a Bretzen, but I'm not sure. I mean, I make German Brezen or pretzel, soft pretzel breads. I've got 2 or 3 videos up on my channel showing how to make them, and they are my favourite. Those sort of, they're not really a sourdough, but they have all that, the beauty of the sourdough with the rock salt on there.
Les Coops started making yogurt and was inspired by your DIY yogurt series. Wasn't a fan of store-bought yogurts, and now he's a yogurt advocate. Encourage everyone to enjoy homemade yogurt.
Homemade yogurt, Les Coops, is just something else, isn't it? It's when I get settled anywhere, I start making my own yogurt, and I tend to make it on a pretty regular basis. And yes, if you haven't checked out my yogurt making series, I think there's an entire playlist of yogurt making, from the very basics to more complicated yogurts. But every one of them is delicious, by the way. Even the strained yogurts, the Greek yogurts, they're just so good and so easy to make and so cheap to make. I mean, I was inspired a little bit by something I saw on, I think it might have been on the BBC, it might have been on ABC. There was an interview with a guy, and he was talking about yogurts from the 1970s to the 1990s or the noughties, and he was saying how yogurt was originally a fairly healthy, natural cultures, but yogurts in the supermarkets today are basically like melted ice cream. They literally are just heaps of sugar and loads of, I mean, if you froze them, they literally are like ice cream, but they've got no real health benefits whatsoever. Even the little kiddies, particularly the little kiddie stuff, the yacht plays and the fromage fraise, they're awful. They're just little sweet, sugar-filled, and even if they're not sugar, they're filled with saccharins, and that's not what yogurt should be like. So yes, sorry, I get a bit preachy, don't I, with some of my stuff.
I've got to say hi to Ange, to Byron, to Jan A. Hi everyone.
She will. She's got a hand over her mouth, like this. Sorry. So Michelle's saying hi to you all. Now I just saw something. Beast of Trio said corn is gluten-free. Yes, of course corn is gluten-free. You have to be careful with. Well, no, you don't actually. I was going to say you have to be careful if it gets cross-contaminated, but who wants to know about that nonsense? I mean, really, corn is gluten-free. Yes.
Just the good bits, good tips for life. Ask what is the heated egg coffee cup called? I want to buy some. Tried to Google, but couldn't find them.
These things? Is that what they're talking about? These are Vietnamese coffee filters. So if you search, I'll actually see if I can on Sunday when I put a video up. I will see if I can leave a link to where you can buy these things from. Julie says hi, Michelle.
Hi, Julie.
Angie says hi, Michelle. Well, you've said Angie. So Les makes about 800 mils of yogurt almost every day. Yeah, I mean you check out maybe below this video when it's all up and running. I'll put a link to the yogurt or yogurt playlist. Any other questions there that come through? Now, I'm not sure if anybody's really watching us much on Facebook Live. Camping Jason says, am I going to actually cook with the microwave? Look, I'll use it a little bit. I've got some student meals. I've got some student meals that I'm going to be doing while I'm here. I'm going to call them student meals. Basically, they're meals that Michelle and I want to eat fairly good food while we're here, but we don't want to go out buying lots of new equipment and things, so we'll be using this kitchen. I mean, for example, we've done what I call a student risotto, very simple risotto, full of flavour, and that'll be going up soon. So we're also doing some sweet dishes. As I said, did I just see Tammy's in? Yo-Yo Max, good day, Yo-Yo. Strawberry cheesecake, that will be part of the, will I call it the students series? I'm going to have another bit of this. This is so good. Strawberry cheesecake it's a no-bake cheesecake, very simple to make.
Just the good bits, good tips for life. Once it's the heated cup, so it's the bit at the bottom with the little tea light.
Ah. I haven't been able to find the style of little heated cups, because yes, in Vietnam we had our coffee served on a little cup, and I haven't been able to find that particular style of Vietnamese cup, so I didn't even see them sold in Vietnam when I was there, so maybe the lady had had them for some time.
So Anne just got to get back to work.
Take care, Angie. Take care. Have a great day.
Jake Summers says, "Have you tried Cornish pasty?"
I've got a recipe, Jake, for Cornish pasties on my channel. I mean, a good Cornish pasty is unbeatable, really. So yes, I do have. I do get the people that's from the West Country, because of course pasties come from the west of England. They do come from Devon and Cornwall, and even in parts of Somerset and Hampshire there's pasties. I mean, historically we were always told the Cornish pasty had the ridge around the side because the tin miners used to eat them. The wives would make them to take, and when they're tin mining, there's a lot of toxic chemicals when you're tin mining, so they would hold the edge of the pasty, eat, and quite often the pasties, by the way, were full of they would put sweet one side, like maybe some cooking apples, and they would put meat on the other side, and they'd eat them and they'd throw the crusts away. That's the story. But I do get comments on there saying that the ridge should be done along the top of the pasty or along the side. I don't think it really matters, as long as you make good Cornish pasties and they've got good black pepper in them. They are good. So I've got a recipe on my channel for Cornish pasties if you want to check them out.
These swings asks, would you recommend using clarified butter versus melted butter in the blueberry muffin batter recipe?
Blueberry in the blueberry. Now, see, clarified butter is not really. Did I use butter in the blueberry batter recipe? I wouldn't use clarified butter particularly. Well, if you've got clarified butter, you can, but I tend to use clarified butter more if I'm going to be frying with things at a higher temperature, because then the butter itself doesn't sour, or you're really just removing the whey content from the butter. So when you clarify the butter, making ghee, for example, it's great for frying. It's a good flavour, but no, I wouldn't go out of my way to use clarified butter. I actually think using good quality butter adds flavour to things like the muffins. So if you're cooking something where butter is an integral part of the actual dish, then use good quality butter. If you're just using butter as a sort of grease to when you eat food, you often need to add a fat content to it, because your tongue and your taste buds can appreciate the oils that are on there, and it releases flavour. It doesn't necessarily have to be high quality butter. You're just looking for an oil.
Richard Feeler says, cook with a microwave. Lol, come to think of it, how could you end up staying in a place without a proper kitchen? Right now?
Yeah, I mean, we've stayed in many places without proper kitchens over the last 2.5 years, so it's not so much that it's a nightmare. It's just needs must. When you're travelling around, when we first left Australia, we had maybe about a day and a half's plan, and since then we've been just winging it, and we get what we can. Would I have a recipe for a liver pie? No, I don't, Gunther, I'm sorry. I'm not even sure how a liver pie. I mean, I've done steak and kidney pies. I think I've got that on my channel. But liver is a very dry meat. If you, I'm not even sure it would make a great pie.
Les Coop says, will you be doing another collab with Titley Mahan in the future, hoping for a series?
Titley is back on and off at the moment on YouTube, and I'd love to do something with her. She's one of my favourite YouTubers, but she's had a very quiet couple of years. I think she got a little bit despondent with YouTube. So, but yeah, I'd love to do something with Titley again, and actually. I'd love to do something live with somebody like Titley or other YouTubers where we're actually face to face. I'll just have a quick read of these. Pumpkin bread. Yeah, pumpkin bread, Jan. Hi, Jan, by the way. Pumpkin bread, now I've got a bit of strawberry pip in my mouth, is delicious. I grew up with a lot of Americans around me, and they used to make pumpkin pie and pumpkin bread every Halloween, and I've got a real, you know, when you eat things and they bring back memories. Gunter, do you have sourdough bread videos? Well, I've just done, Gunter, a whole series of bread making, and the first of that series was actually how to make a sourdough, and I've actually dried that sourdough starter that I made in Sicily, and I've got it here with me in Malaysia. But eventually, when we get settled, wherever we decide to settle, I'm going to rehydrate that sourdough starter and start using it, so you can get to see how to store sourdough starter over many months and how to rehydrate it. Yeah, I have, Emily, I've got more dessert videos on the way. We've just done something I call Chunky Monkey Ice Cream, which we've been testing and we'll be filming this week. We've got that strawberry cheesecake, which is really easy to make and tastes absolutely delicious. So I'm going to be doing, over the next month, I'm going to be doing simple student style meals on a Friday, just for a month, maybe a little bit longer while we're here, and then I'm going to be doing a dessert on another simple dessert on Sunday. So keep a lookout for those. Byron, rainbow recipes that I cherish the most. I really had a lot of fun with my rainbow recipes on the channel. I enjoy doing them. They're quite often more complicated to do as a video than they are just to sort of experiment with. So I would say probably my hidden rainbow bread rolls that I made were really good, and I also I love the little rainbow cheesecake that I made in the glass. So it was a glass similar to this, a little bit wider, and we put a little bit of cheesecake base in it, and that was another one I really enjoyed. Can you remember a rainbow recipe that I've made on the channel that you particularly love? Oh, the rainbow bagels as well. They were just I think I had a lot of fun experimenting with those. Actually, there were a lot I made that never went on the channel in all sorts of different colours for different countries and all sorts. So they were fun. Any questions there, Michelle? You got one?
David Marchand says, Steve, do you like spicy curry? And which is your favourite Indian dish?
David, hi, how are you, David? I love Indian food. It's possibly, I think if there was a cuisine that people could say to me, right, you can only have that for the rest of your life, I'd probably be quite happy with Indian food. And I do like spicy food. I don't like it to the detriment of enjoying the meal. I know a lot of friends that I have that like lots of chilies, and I do think sometimes they've lost the ability to taste because the heat in the food is just too much. But Indian food is not really about hot food either. Real Indian food is about spices and flavors, and spices don't have to be hot, you know. You've got your sweet cardamom and your cumin and all those lovely star anise and things. They're not hot flavours. So I don't know. We're actually going to be doing a student's curry here. It'll probably be, I haven't decided yet. We're going to experiment in the next week or two on a simple curry. Maybe a buttered chicken or I'm not sure. You can comment down below. So yes, I love Indian food, and I can take it hot and spicy, but I actually prefer a more balance. I actually love also to have Indian desserts just to take away from a meal all those lovely sweet flavours. Good morning, Twitter. I'm just going to take. Is there anyone else there?
Brenda Don says, "Why are you travelling? Do you feel safe right now where you are?"
Brenda.
Yeah.
I feel very safe where we are. I always feel safe wherever we go. I think we had one little stint in Mexico where it was a little bit tricky. I was particularly poorly at the time, and our bus got stopped up in the mountains. But as a rule, I always feel safe when I travel. I enjoy it. I think it's living on the edge a little bit. And people say to me, "Oh, you shouldn't go out at night in this area and that area," but I generally find it not to be the case. It's often very safe. Camping Jason, what's my favourite cut of beef? I probably would say, because I do love beef in almost any form, but if I were to say maybe a rack of beef that's been slow roasted is probably my favourite way. So a traditional roast beef, but done nice and slowly on the bone, is possibly my favourite cut. What's your favourite cut of beef? I will look to see your answer in the comments. What kind of food does Michelle like?
It's waiting for me. Also, all sorts of food. I like a nice curry. I do like a good curry.
Yeah, Michelle's keen on curries as well. We both are really happy when we're. Hey David, Facebook, Saul and Dave. How's your finger, buddy? David got himself one of those new drones. I think it's I forget which one it is. It's one of the DJI Mavericks, I think it is, and he's proof positive that you can actually cut your finger on those blades. I think he must have tried to catch it as it was coming in. He's made a horrible mess of his finger. Ribeye on a barbecue. Yep. I mean, barbecue in Australia, we barbecue everything, so good bit of ribeye on a barbecue is great. But it does depend a lot on the quality of the beef as well. I think it's often finding the right beef, not something that's not from a supermarket that's been pumped full of water.
Larry on Facebook likes prime rib medium rare.
Yeah, prime rib medium rare. I like all of my. Excuse me. I like all of my beef cuts to be on the sort of medium to rare side of the cut, where there's still moisture in there. Brendan.
She asked a question higher up. I think she said.
Oh, Brenda.
Yeah, I miss proper bacon and gammon. Now she lives in Florida and learned to dry and wet cure her own pork and went into bacon.
Yes, Brenda, we make a lot of bacon. Michelle and I don't even think I've done a proper bacon, no. And yet one of the things I always do wherever we stop is make back bacon and streaky bacon. And there's nothing easier than making your own bacon. And home cured bacon is the best. I will, Brenda, I promise, and you already know how to do it, but I will show, because bacon is wonderful at any time, but actually making your own bacon is so simple and good bacon. I used to keep my own pigs, so we had pigs. We had some rare breeds of pigs, and we used to actually produce all our own meats and home cured fresh bacon, you just can't beat it. Byron, Korean barbecues are great. I mean, we get good Korean barbecues in Australia. I don't know if you get them where you are, but Korean barbecues are heaps of fun. Have I ever, Chris, have I ever made corned beef? Many times I've made corned beef. That's another, you see there's an endless list of things that I need to actually share out. I love homemade corned beef. Very popular in Australia, by the way. A lot of people used to make their own corned beef. So yes, very simple again to make corned beef. Yep, Michelle does like whatever I cook, and I like whatever she cooks. Don't forget, Michelle's a chef as well, so she actually she's a very good cook. Makes great food. Les Coop, have I tried to substitute sugar with stevia in the cooking or baking? I'm on a sugar-free diet. I've many times, Les Coop, I've many times used stevia in cooking, but yeah, Dave said his finger is sore. I bet it is. We tried growing stevia plants in Melbourne, and they're pretty tricky to get a decent size. I mean, if you're going to grow stevia, you need to get big bushes of it so you can pull the leaves off, dry them out. And I think stevia is a very good alternative sweetener. It's just sometimes when you need to add a caramelizing element to your cooking, it's not so great. So, and in that case, I think we'll probably try and do more on stevia in the future. Actually, everyone's interested in alternative sweeteners, but I think also if you re-educate your palate to like less sweet things, that's always good. Because actually, when I cut down and stopped putting sugar in my coffee and tea many years ago. First, I used to have maybe two sugars in a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Now I don't have any sugar, never have sugar in my coffee or tea, and it still tastes sweet to me. So you can actually reprogram your taste buds. Bisa Trail says, how about sauerkraut? What, eating it or making it? I mean, sauerkraut is something I love to make, and something I was going to... We were doing a series some time ago when I was back in Australia, and I was going to start a nice big crock pot of sauerkraut, which is basically a pickled cabbage. You take the cabbage, you add salt to it, and keep it in a nice big crock pot, and over a period of time you end up with this delicious sauerkraut, or Sauerkraut as the French say. But sauerkraut is, of course, German. So I grew up in, many of my teenage years were spent in Germany, so I love that sort of food. Brenda's from Liverpool. Hi, Brenda. Never been to Liverpool. Got lots of friends from Liverpool. Never been up there. I'd love to go one day. Brenda, are you in the US now and you're from Liverpool? God, that will confuse the Americans. Have you got a real strong Scouse accent? Scouse, by the way, is the term in Liverpool they use for Liverpudlians. Yeah, sauerkraut is fantastic. Let's go. A lot of those pickled vegetables, they are great, and actually homemade sauerkraut is really nice if it's got a real good crunch to it. Sometimes you buy sauerkraut in the supermarkets. If you buy it in a jar, it can get all soggy and it's like overcooked, because I think they quite often have to heat the cabbage up to kill any bacteria in it when they're making it for. Everything processed ends up tasting not as nice as it does. I'm sorry if I keep looking towards the camera on Facebook, by the way.
genuine with Joey's. Have you ever tried to cook any Japanese desserts?
Japanese desserts? No, I don't think I have. What? Name me a Japanese dessert. You'll probably say something, and I've got even a video up for it. But I don't recall making any Japanese desserts. Michelle should have her own video series. I can't. Michelle should have her own video series. I can't think of anything she'd probably like less. There are, in every relationship. The reason Michelle and I have been together for so long. I think last year I got up some photographs when we were children together. The reason we've been together so long is we're so different and we get on so well. So I don't think Michelle would be too keen to have. Would you, Michelle? No. I don't know. No. I don't know why I'm asking her. I know the answer. If she really wanted to have her own cooking channel or something, she'd be sat here. But she's not as comfortable as I am talking. Ain't that the truth?
Byron asks, what's the hardest part about filming videos?
Byron, the hardest part about filming videos, particularly, well, two answers really. I've done a lot of vlogging over the year or so that we've been, the 2 years that we've been travelling. I'm not a vlogger. I find it fun, but I can't say I really enjoy it that much because I don't have the desire a lot of youngsters have to be in the public eye all the time, and sometimes I want to go and see something and I don't want to carry, maybe there's parents out there will understand this. When you go to see your children at a school play or something and you take the camera along, the old VHS camera or the digital 8, and you sat there and you film the whole thing, and at the end you kind of realise you didn't watch the school play. And then you've got to sit in front of a TV and watch the thing and the whole atmosphere. So it's the same with vlogging, really. If you're running around a market with a camera going, blah, 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 this is lovely, you're not enjoying the market. You need to get that camera out of your face and just get and enjoy the experience. So firstly, Byron, the hardest part about vlogging is the fact that you are like a parent at a school play who's filming their children in a play. You're better to have that camera stood on a tripod over the other side of the room and just enjoy it, and actually not even have it stood on the tripod because then you're conscious of it. The hardest part of filming food, well, I enjoy filming the cooking, so I wouldn't say there's any hard parts, but it's harder. For example, I don't know if any of you remember seeing the gingerbread house. Now, I've made gingerbread houses at Christmas time many times, and they're complicated. They take some time. You've got to bake the little gingerbread, and you've got to then make up the royal icing to put it together. But when you film making a gingerbread house, it can take 3 days, because what would be just, you're looking for camera angles and making sure you've got everything set up and the lighting and things. So that's the that's one of the complications, the hardest parts. It's just having the camera there. Do I have, David, style of foods that are most difficult to cook, and do I have any allergies? I have no allergies whatsoever, as far as I know. Most difficult to cook food? That's difficult. Any ideas? I don't really tend to think of food cooking as complicated. It's
some things don't work, but then they work the next time.
When y'all coming back to America, Leslie, I just would love to be back there right now. I would live in the USA if they didn't make it so complicated to live there. Visas are always, everywhere you travel, the more we've travelled, the more we realise just how the restrictions of visas are a nightmare. I love the USA, I love Southeast Asia, I love South America, I love everywhere, but I would love to be in the US right now.
Gaming with Joey, who asked about the Japanese desserts, said the fluffy cheesecake.
Oh, I've made, so I have made that fluffy cheesecake. I want to do a Japanese fluffy cheesecake, but I want the really nice high ones you make. They remind me a little bit of a lot of foods. When we were in France, living in France, the French make a fluffy cheesecake as well, and they put a black. They bake it till it's black on the top. It's absolutely delicious, and very similar. But I want to do a Japanese cheesecake, a beautiful light Japanese cheesecake, but I want to do a tall one. I just haven't got the equipment with me to do it. I've been 2 years on the road, and I've got to carry everything I can with me, so I haven't got the pans to do it. I will do that, yes. I have made small ones in the past. There's probably other Japanese dessert dishes I've done, but maybe I've forgotten. Chris, I don't need a cameraman, I've got a camera lady. Thank you. Though I'll bear you in mind.
Laughing at these swings, says, do you have a recommendation for a basic cooking kit to take when travelling?
I probably should have, because as we've travelled, we keep picking up bits and pieces. I think it's always good to have. I take my chef knives with me everywhere. We picked up a little. Now this is not really something you can take travelling with you. We've ended up with stuff that you shouldn't really travel with. What would you say?
Would you like your little coffee pot espresso?
See, but that's not for cooking. I like to have fresh coffee, so I've got my little Italian stovetop coffee maker, which actually everywhere we've travelled, even when we travelled with our children, we travelled for 3 years with our children and always had a little stovetop espresso maker. You really just need a mixing bowl. That's always good. You often find yourself in a place where you just need a mixing bowl. And actually, since we've been travelling, I bought mixing bowls and left them behind, and bought mixing bowls and left them behind many, many times. Just a small one. I don't know if we've got one handy here. We've actually bought one since we've been in this apartment. So the things I've gone out and bought since we've been in this apartment would be a mixing bowl, a spoon, few bits and pieces that you don't need too much.
David March, it's off to bed. It's 3 a.m. in Nottingham.
David, get to bed. Good night. I'm just reading Brenda's because she still has her accent. I can't imagine that you'd lose a strong Liverpudlian accent. And say fortnight and chipolata sausage. Do they not say fortnight in America? And chipolata? Chipolatas are the little pork sausages. Generally, you can get beef and pork chipolatas, but generally they're pork sausages. I make my own chipolatas at home, so they're good. So let's have a quick recap and see. Is there anything else?
Milan's just joined us.
Hey Milan, how are you? From Chicago.
Strawberry.
Street Subway. Strawberry from hi from California.
Of course, we've got Critter 2 in the pocket.
Oh yeah, and always got Leslie in my pocket. Leslie comes with us all over the world. Leslie, I'm sorry I haven't vlogged as much as I think you understand what I was saying before. Is about filming. It's not so easy sometimes to share every experience. And actually, there are the other frustrating thing. There are many things I've filmed that I've just never got around to editing. But I'll get them up eventually, and they'll be fun to watch. Any other questions there? Let me just have a quick glance down. If you've asked a question and I haven't answered, please accept my apologies.
Ask again.
Yeah, don't. You can ask again.
Are there any foods that you won't eat? You can answer that.
So Beast of Trail saying fortnight is a word I wish would get used more. Fortnight? Is fortnight not a word everybody uses? I suppose it can be a little confusing, some of the terms that we use in the English language. So I guess fortnight is 2 weeks. Yes. I'm having to think twice then, because it's always good. Hello from North Carolina, only 2 hours from Myrtle Beach. I spent time, I think I mentioned to you before, at Myrtle Beach, and we drove up. We actually drove up right down from the Florida Keys all the way up to New York with our children some years ago. We spent time at Myrtle Beach, and there were good times. I love that part of the world, and I think I said before, if you ever get a chance to visit the Carolinas or Virginia during the fall and drive down through the Blue Ridge Causeway, it's gorgeous.
Strawberry says, what's your go-to dessert to make?
My go-to dessert to make? Probably a cheesecake. I think if I like something with a little bit of lemon in it, so cheesecakes. Yeah, pavlova. I love that combination of fruit and cream. I like desserts that often have a combination of textures and flavours. I love a good apple pie, for example, where you've got a really nice crust, and if you can get them, which you can rarely get around the world, cooking apples, which Bramley apples, you can't get them in many countries, but you can't eat the things. If you bite into them, they'll turn your lips inside out. They're so sour, but they are the very best apples for cooking. So when you have a combination, when you make an apple pie, but I wouldn't give you tuppence for an apple pie unless I could have hot apple pie with ice cream, and ideally with fresh custard as well. So then you get the combination of hot apple pie, cold ice cream, all those different textures, and then warm or hot custard. So Byron is saying that tonkatsu is similar to the German or Austrian schnitzel. I do love a schnitzel. Schnitzels, when we were younger, were always made with veal, but nowadays they tend to make schnitzels with pork, because veal is a little bit out of vogue. No, that's another argument we could have at another date. Now, rhubarb pie, yes, rhubarb crumble, Beast of Trail. I do love a rhubarb crumble, and I do love actually gooseberries. If I'm going to have a crumble at all, I'd probably try to have gooseberries. They taste great. So, any other questions? I had questions. Did you get them from? I had some questions that I wanted to answer from Sicily that I never got round to answering. So let's have a quick look. Michelle will pull them up. I'll answer some of them. I know that Leslie asked when I was born and how old I was. I didn't go into too much information, but I am born. I'm a March Pisces, if that helps. So that was one question I had to answer.
June Owens says...
June. I don't think June's in, but I'm going to get the question anyway, because June is a regular viewer.
What she'd like to ask is, how do you make the arrangements for the next place you head? Do you use travel agents or just wing it and see what happens?
We very much, June, we wing it when we travel. I don't think I've ever used a travel agent since my business years, many years ago, when we would occasionally use a travel agent. But when we're traveling, no, we never use travel agents. There are so many apps now as well, so many ways of researching online, and we don't even particularly plan which countries we're going to. But having said that, 2.5 years of doing that is getting a bit tired now, and we are actually thinking of settling down. I'm actually hoping to go to a location shortly that is one that's been requested many times on the channel, but it's not all sorted out.
So AIRBNB says, have you ever published a cookbook?
Cookbooks. We're working on some cookbooks. I'm actually working on a bread book to share some ideas about bread. But many years ago, I did do some. Many years ago, I did do some cookery books to do with French cooking and charcuterie. But I never really properly published them. So they're a work in progress now, I think. Somebody just asked about, oh, Fazil, did you get the silver play button? I did get my YouTube silver play button whilst I was on the road. I think I was in Mexico. I was sick, wasn't I? Mm-hmm. I was actually really poorly. I was in Mexico City, and I think I got the note, went over the 100,000 subscribers, and I was like, hey, and then went to sleep. And my silver play button was sent to family in Australia, and I haven't seen it. So that's sad, isn't it? Well, I kind of seen it, but it one day we'll find somewhere to unbox it and have a look.
Milan said he's got to go. It's impossible to hear you on the train.
Milan, thank you for joining me, even if it is hard to listen on the train. It's been great. Watch it when you get home, and hopefully it won't be too long. And ask any questions. I'll be monitoring the chat for some time, so it'd be good to hear any questions you have. Was there any other questions from?
Aussie Zach 88 said, "What origin are you from?" If you didn't ask that, where are you from?
A lot of people. Aussie Zach from Australia. A lot of people ask me about my origins because I obviously don't have a strong Australian accent, though I've lived there many years. You don't lose, as you were just saying to a Liverpudlian who's been 30 odd years in America. You don't lose your childhood accent. I am originally from English background, British English background, Yorkshire to be more precise, and Southern English because my parents are from two areas. And however, I've rarely lived much more than a short period of time in the UK, and I've lived overseas so long. I think people find it hard to pick up my accent. But if you ask me where I'm from Australia, from Melbourne. All my kids, all my family live over there, so that feels like home. Though when I go to many parts of the world, because we've lived in many different parts of the world over our careers and lifetime, there's lots of places I consider home. Even Hong Kong, where I spent many years, Sri Lanka, France, different parts of Europe, Germany, parts of America. There are many parts of the world that feel like home to me. So Byron, your favourite cookbooks are Sandra Lee and Martha Stewart. We don't get a lot of, I do love Sandra Lee and Martha Stewart's recipes, but we don't get a lot of that cultural sort of cookbooks with us. I tend to also collect older cookbooks. If I'm interested in food, something like Dorothy Perkins' Food of Old England. I love books that talk historically. I've got some books where they actually describe how to cook peacock, and I love books that talk about sort of the history of food. Is there other questions there?
Why do you live in different countries? What's your favourite place you visited?
I haven't. I'm probably never going to say my favourite place I visited, because everywhere is just wonderful. You know, everywhere I've been to has its own merits, and I've yet to be in a country that I can't find exciting and enjoyable to live in. I do love the USA. I think I love Europe and the USA because of the varied climates and things. You know, if you look at America and you look at Europe, you can be way down south in Spain and have that sort of dry, arid environment. And you can be way up north and have almost sort of year-round snow and things, and you can get the same experience in the US, where you can go from the southern states to the northern states, and you can get the same experience in my own country of Australia, where people don't often realise we've got great skiing mountains. And actually, my daughter sent me a video recently. They were snowboarding in the Victorian Alps. So, you know, Australia is not all outback and kangaroos. There's some beautiful, beautiful mountainous regions. I really want to take a lot of you with me to Australia and tour around and show you some of the beauties of that country. And I do think actually a lot of young people that I've met around the world, particularly when I was in the US, I think they should consider coming to Australia, because there's a lot of freedoms in Australia that make it well worth the visit. I think I've met people there that are when I was at VidCon last year, I met a lot of people that were disenchanted with the whole sort of religious political system that runs throughout their country. And I often feel like saying to them, well, come to Australia, you know, it's where you can have a new start, and there's a lot more freedom and a lot less dogma. Have I ever been to Canada? I have never been to Canada, Camping Jason, and it's a great regret, and I will go to Canada one day. It'll happen.
Yummy Medley asks, how do you get to connect with the locals at all the places you travel to? It seems like you always have a local connection even when you don't speak the language. And maybe you do, and I don't know.
Yummy Medley, that's Lois, a friend of mine from online, and she's got a wonderful blog doing African stuff cooking. So Lois it was an inspiration for some of my African recipes. Sorry, answer the question. When we arrive, I tend to talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody on the street. So I tend, and I like going out walking around the streets. So I tend to just reach out to anybody I meet and chat, whether it's in restaurants or cafes. And we always try to learn some simple phrases when we get to a new country. So I think it's important wherever you go in the world to try and learn some of the phrases. So when you can at least say hello, how are you, and thank people and ask maybe some simple questions, it opens up all sorts of doors and avenues to you. So really, I don't have any great secrets other than you've just got to get out there and talk with people. James from Fun Food is at VidCon right now. He is there. There are actually a lot of my friends are at VidCon, and I enjoyed VidCon last year. I don't think I would have gone a second time. I might go again in a few years' time, but you know, there are limits to. It costs a lot of money for us in Australia to go to a VidCon in the USA. I mean, many thousands of dollars. And is it worth it? Probably not. But it was fun. It was fun. We met some great people. There's another question. Did I answer Lois's question all right?
Yeah, I think so. Byron asks, what time do you always upload videos?
I upload videos whenever I can, Byron, when I'm traveling, but I try to, I used to have a Wednesday and a weekend thing going on the channel, but for the last 6 months or so, I've been trying to keep things weekend-centric, so I try to put things up on a Friday and a Sunday, but that really does make a difference. Like this for us, what day is it today?
Saturday.
This for us is Saturday. See, it's too early for me. This is Saturday, but in the US I think it's still Friday, so you know it's hard for me to say. I try to put things up for the weekend. Strawberry cheesecake. Canada awaits me. I would love to spend maybe 3 or 4 months in Canada. Amateur bakers making pancakes. What sort of pancakes?
B Swings asked about, do you have any breakfast gravy episodes?
Who asked?
B Swings.
B Swings?
Specifically the types of gravy used on biscuits in the southern states.
Can you ask that one again? I missed the...
Do you have any breakfast gravy episodes? Specifically the types of gravy used on biscuits?
No, I don't. I've had biscuits and gravy in the US many times. Actually, the first time I had it was... I'm trying to think where we were when we first had biscuits. We stayed at a place in the USA, and the lady said her husband had biscuits and gravy every single day since they'd been married, and they'd been married 33 years. I always remember that. And then she made me biscuits and gravy. And to us as a sort of Anglo-Australian, when we think of biscuits, we're tending to think of sweet biscuits. So when she offered up this very unusual, what looked like a scone with no sweetness to it, and a white gravy, I wasn't enamoured by it actually, and it took me a while to develop a taste for it. That and grits, which I love now, and I do like a good biscuits and gravy. It's got to be cooked with good meat fats, and the stock has to. I like a lot of flavour in the white gravies, and so I haven't done it on the channel. I will do one day.
The guy on Facebook says it's 5:20 in the evening in Mexico on Friday. Okay.
Mexico. Which part of Mexico, Larry? We had a great time. I love Mexico City. I think it's fantastic. And we were in what's the mountain town that we were in there? It's the name escapes me. San Miguel de Allende. It's very pretty.
Banking Jason says, do you have a 9-to-5 type chef job?
No, I don't have a 9-to-5 chef job. I've got a lot of friends who are chefs, work that 9-to-5 job. It doesn't appeal to me at all. I can't think of anything I'd rather not do than just make the same food over and over again in a
Many chef jobs aren't 9-to-5.
Yeah, many chefs. Very rarely. My brother-in-law and Michelle's worked more recently in that sort of industry, and rarely is it 9-to-5. No, I wouldn't give you tuppence to work in that sort of environment. I've done that work in the past, and I don't have any great. I'm a YouTuber. I love doing what I do at the moment. And if somebody said to me, "I'll pay you a lot of money to work in a kitchen as a line chef," I wouldn't. It wouldn't. No amount of money could convince me to do it. I couldn't think of anything more uninspiring than cooking a very narrow set of food in a restaurant over and over again. I'm too interested in food to get stuck into that sort of industry. I'm always learning about new food cultures and new food styles. You don't get that when you work in a restaurant. You have to stick to a limited menu, and you have to cook those things very well, over and over again. And that's just not something that that interests me.
How much a baker is making plain pancakes? And what types of pancakes are there?
What? There are many different types of pancakes. A crepe is a pancake, an English pancake, which we make traditionally, the English style pancakes, which are heavy in egg, that you can sort of toss and flip, and then the American pancakes, which are a leavened pancake, thick and full of baking powder or baking soda, so you get all those little bubbles in there, and have that with the maple syrup. There are many sorts of pancakes. Brenda, my new husband and father-in-law laughed. No gravy is brown.
She said earlier on, I was shocked when given white gravy for the first time.
Yeah, see, white gravy for someone from England or from Australia, for that matter, would be bad gravy. If somebody served you with white gravy, we tend to, in our history of cooking, you have gravy browning. Because if gravy is too light, people add a browning to it to get it really dark and rich, the same colour as the meats. So a light gravy generally means it would have no flavour. Of course, that's not true. The white gravies that I've had in the US have heaps of flavour, and quite often you can add little crispy bits of bacon in there as well. But yeah, it's funny to I know where you're coming from, Brenda. For me, gravy was always brown. And actually, because I make my own gravies from meat juices and things, it isn't as brown as what people... some people will only eat that Bisto style gravy, which is dark chocolate brown. I actually expect my gravy to be lighter than that because I want the natural flavours. But anyway, long story.
Supe is joining us on Facebook.
Okay. Hi, Supe. How are you? Supe actually is here in Malaysia where I am, but she's in Penang. She's a wonderful Nonya chef. I learned so much from Supe when I was here, and as I said, I really want to do justice to what I've learned in Malaysian cooking at some time, but we need to get settled somewhere. And you'll hear me say this over and over again, because we were going to stop in Europe and spend a year or so in Europe. But I'll be frank, we do miss our family a lot, and coming this way, the main reason for coming back this side of the world is so that we can meet up with family. It's hard when you're a long way from your children. We will be in the next month or two, we've got a month here, we will actually be getting ourselves a place that'll feel more permanent, hopefully, and I'll keep you up to date with that as it happens. Gravy is just sauce, it's just how it's made. Well, gravy is sauce, yes. Michelle doesn't like gravy, and sometimes if I make a sauce and call it gravy, she turns her nose at it. But of course, every sauce could be considered to be a gravy, and every gravy could be considered a sauce. What do I think of Trump? I love the fact that, I'm not sure, Jason, if you're from Canada or the USA, but I love the fact that people feel that when they're asked, what do you think of Trump, they also feel they should apologise at the same time. I think it shows, I shouldn't get political really, but it does show how absolutely disenchanted people are with the political systems all around the world, that we are willing to vote in almost anything to show our disdain for the current systems that we have. And I do think that often Trump was not necessarily. I don't want to get political particularly, but I don't think necessarily Trump was voted in because of who he was, but more to people saying enough is enough of the system, the constant sort of hand-me-down torch from one sort of noble family to the next. And we get the same in our country, and we get the same in all the European countries as well. And I do think perhaps people would vote for somebody with a bag on their head if they really thought it might change things, which it clearly is not doing. So, sorry about that, but we could get political. Anybody want some strawberry cheesecake? Can you see that on, have you got the YouTube video open?
No.
The strawberries here in Malaysia are super expensive, but these ones are lovely. They've got a really lovely, you know that smell you need to have with strawberries, which rarely actually happens. They do taste good, so they were worth it. And we've got lovely bits of strawberry inside the cheesecake as well. This is good. This is going up possibly within either next week or the weekend after. Oh, that smells so good. Yeah. Well, that was a good idea, wasn't it? Fill my mouth with strawberry cheesecake. Byron, you can have this cheesecake if you make it. You might want to make it with graham or graham crackers. I'm sure I'll get into trouble for calling graham crackers, but I make them with a digestive biscuit base, and sometimes I make it with just flour and sugar and oatmeal and things. So
these swings is after put children to bed.
Good night, children. That's always good. My political view is quite tactful, Chris. My political views are quite, yeah, I think I could talk politics. People don't often like you to talk politics. Blackberries are in season. What month is it? Because they shouldn't be in season. Are you must be quite northern to have blackberries in season. Are they? What month is it? June, July, August, September blackberries, isn't it? I love blackberries. We used to go blackberry picking. You know, and you come back, your fingers all covered in blackberry and running down. Good blackberries.
So strawberries are up season. So it must be.
Okay, you must be northern. Ginger snaps, actually, for a cheesecake crust, ginger snaps are really good. Actually, ginger nut biscuits, we call them, which are a much coarser biscuit than a ginger snap. Make great. But also, if you want to make, I think one of my videos, I'm not sure, in my non-baked cheesecake, at least one or two of the videos, I make rather than use actual biscuits, because a biscuit is basically just flour and sugar and a little bit of baking and some fats. But you can make that cheesecake base with just those simple ingredients, but add a little bit of spice into it, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of cinnamon in there. Really, it elevates that cheesecake to a whole new flavour. So yes, ginger snaps, fantastic. And even adding a little bit of citrus peel into the base is nice. Louisiana. So Louisiana, you've got blackberries in season. That's kind of cool. I suppose it's. You see, at the moment, my mind is starting to think of Australian seasons again. We're upside down in Australia. I know I'm not in Australia at the moment, but the family, the kids are all saying how cold it is because it's going into winter, and it does kind of play with your head a bit. But not far, only about 8 hours from here. All my family are experiencing the cold snaps of winter. Is there a low sugar cheesecake? I haven't done one, but it wouldn't actually be too hard to make a low sugar cheesecake. It would be a very simple thing to do, so I will look at doing that, Jen. It's not hard at all. And if it depends on whether you're trying to, I suppose it depends on whether you're trying to avoid sugar as in raw sugar, or sweeteners as in honey, because honey is an option that you can use. And of course we spoke earlier on about things like stevia, but some people have to avoid all sorts of sugar, so yeah, we'll look into that. Was there any other questions from the...
Karina on Facebook says welcome to Malaysia.
Thank you, Karina. I love Malaysia. It's a wonderful. We just spent some time in Thailand, another country that I love, and Catherine's talking on Facebook about the tiramisu cheesecake. Catherine, did I make the tiramisu cheesecake with biscuit base, or did I make the base, I wonder if you can remember, did I make the base from scratch? Because that would be interesting to say. But yes, we spent time in Thailand, love Thailand. We went into Vietnam as well. Some of you will have seen the videos from Vietnam, and I'll be doing my Vietnamese coffee on Sunday. But yes, Malaysia always draws me back. The food here in Malaysia is fantastic. The people are wonderful. It's puasa at the moment, So there's a lot going on. It's remarkable that actually it takes a period of fasting to bring out some of the best food in Malaysia. I hope you agree with that.
That's announced on Facebook. It was biscuit based.
So it was biscuit based. So
I think it was the caramel.
Yeah, it's possibly the caramel cheesecake that I made, and there was two I think that I made with flour and sugar and the lights.
Possibly it was the lime one. Key lime pie.
What's my favourite? My favourite Malaysian food. There's so much Malaysian food that I like. I love the fact, actually, not far from where we are. We're not far from. You're asking about restaurants as well. We're not far from the old Little India of Kuala Lumpur, not Brickfields, but the older section here, just near Bukit Nana, and the Indian restaurants there. The what are the name of them? Nasi Ganda places. We go there all the time, and I love the food that they serve there. But I also love the Nonya food that I've had in Penang. Some of the nasi ulam, that is so good. And I love the use of those ginger flowers. Actually, my chef's jacket that I had made here in Malaysia has the beautiful ginger flowers on it. So there's way too much onde onde. I like if you want sweet things, a little onde onde with the coconut and the pandan. Don't get me started. So much good Malaysian food. So that was Shannon that asked about Malaysian food. I hope that answers some. What's your favourite Malaysian food? Nasi lemak, of course, in the morning. I love a good nasi lemak.
One man Shannon said, "How did you get to Malaysia? Ex-military or something."
How did
you get to Malaysia?
Nothing to do with the military. A lot of people I've met here actually are ex-military and visiting, often visiting here, who were connected with the forces here in Malaysia. But no, we actually came on the train, the night train. I was lucky enough to be able to book a first-class sleeper, and I filmed that. So I will try and put that up at some point. Leslie saying almost anything can be made sugar-free, and Leslie and we're probably going to have to come up with some great sugar-free recipes when I get into my new kitchen. I keep talking about this new kitchen. It doesn't actually exist at the moment, but it's coming. I'm sure of it. I feel it in my blood that the new kitchen is coming, and there seem to be quite a lot of people. Actually, I'm going to be doing a lot more healthy eating. I'm still going to be doing all the sweet stuff and the wonderful, but I'm actually going to be doing a lot more healthy recipes as well. But don't expect that in the next month or so. That's for down the line. I've been looking more and more into doing. I'll explain it maybe in an upcoming video about sort of healthy eating and things we're talking about, and we will be looking at doing sugar-free alternatives as well, Leslie. So that'll be kind of Critter Tea. For those of you that don't know who I'm talking to, Critter Tea is a long-term follower from YouTube, and she's one of the sweethearts that always asks me great questions. Yeah, when don't start sending me stuff just yet. I'll lose it. So let's wait until we've actually got our location sorted out. Bistro Trail, my jackets I've got from various sources over the years. Some of my favourite earlier jackets, they're not actually that well made, so I wouldn't really highly recommend them. The fabrics are not really robust enough for a proper kitchen environment. The ones I've had made are often better, and I'm still trying to find a way of getting those jackets made that I could sell them, but to let people get hold of them. I found a wonderful company in Italy while I was there, and they are a proper chef jacket company called Ego as in egotistical, Ego Chef, and they've got some beautiful jackets, and they're practical. They're made with fabrics that actually will last in the kitchen. It's funny, I was actually in Sicilia, and I found a lovely little pizza place. Guy used to have a big wood-fired pizza oven, and he would make pizza for us. And I think I put a video up at one time. He makes a meter-long pizza, and he was wearing some really cool chef gear, and I said to him, "Where do you get that from?" And he told me, put me in touch with these people. So yeah, there's possibilities in the future that I might try and get some of my more popular prints made and sold on my website. Only if I can get them. My earliest jackets were just too expensive. They're hundreds of dollars and really not made with the fabrics that are suitable if you were genuinely working in a kitchen. So we'll get back to that. Do I have a meatloaf recipe, Chris? I do have meatloaf recipes. I don't think I've actually made a proper meatloaf on my channel. Yeah, we'll see about that as well. There's lots to do. Turkey loaf, Byron. Now, I've never made that's something I've never made, a turkey loaf, so that would be interesting to look at, Byron, at some point. Again, when I get settled into a proper studio kitchen, which the next stop that we get to, we will probably stop for at least a year, I think, and start getting on top of some of these recipes I've been promising to do for a long time. Hello, Kim, you're cutting back on sugar. A lot of people should cut back on sugar. You know, many years ago, sugar was a trading commodity. Sugar was expensive. It was hard to come by, and people would pay their bills in sugar. I mean, it's not like the Roman soldiers used to pay in salt. Hence, we have the word salary, which comes from salt. But they did used to trade in sugar, and sugar was quite hard to come by. So in our diets, we only had a very limited amount of sugar in our diets. And now, I mean, if you go back only to the beginning of the last century, say the early 1900s, people would have had sugar in very limited supply in their kitchens. And now, if you want to go and buy 50 kilo sack of sugar, it'll cost you about $3, and you can, you know, sugar is one of the cheapest things you can buy in a supermarket. You can generally buy kilo sacks of sugar or 2 kilos of sugar for $1, even less in some countries. Certainly in the US and most European countries and Australia, it's so cheap. So people put it into everything, of course, and it must be unhealthy. We know it's unhealthy. So, yeah. Tortellini, I love tortellini. I think I've made tortellini on the channel, Byron. Tortellini, I watched them making it in Italy, fresh tortellini. Absolutely, I love all the Italian pastas. I particularly love them when they're fresh made. We've got some pasta here, some little pasta shells. They're just that usual sort of packet pasta. It never does justice when you actually make pasta, which is really easy to do, as you know, Byron. I've made it quite a few times on my channel. Fresh made pasta is delicious. Fazil, you're asking, have I made fugu fish? I've never heard of fugu fish, so no, that in answer to that. So no. Yeah, $4 for 3 kilos for sugar. I think you're talking about, Amateur Baker. I mean, you can get the sort of home branded supermarket sugars. I think even cheaper than that. And if you think that, you know, how many thousands of years we've evolved over, it's only been the last maybe 80 to 100 years that we've been able to get sugar in an abundance, and many households will buy these big bags, you know, £2, £4 bags of sugar. 1 kilo, 2 kilo, 5 kilo bags of sugar and use them. And you wouldn't have been able to get through in an old, say the early part of the 1900s, late 1800s. You wouldn't have been able to get through a bag of sugar in most of the recipes. They wouldn't have been, in a year. You probably couldn't have got through that much sugar. And now people will buy them and go through them in week after week. So it's having a huge effect on health. And we do need to address that. Creeper Sucks at MC asks, why did I make my channel? What inspired me? Well, actually, I had a lot of friends who were doing YouTube in Australia, and I wasn't inspired. I used to think that it was something that didn't interest me whatsoever. Often they would ask me to come and do things on their channels, and I wasn't interested. My kids started university one by one. Eventually, we had to move city in Australia, and I was just thinking, I'll give it a go, because I had a period in my life where I had the free time to do it, and I just got hooked. Everybody had been asking me for a long time, you should share your recipes, you should talk about food, you should talk about cooking. Actually, the first video I ever put up on YouTube was to do with guitar lessons. I think I did a guitar lesson for somebody showing some chords. And I used to follow guys like Dave Sorlin. I love all there's so much you can learn on YouTube. Anyway, I hope that answers. What inspired me? I've always been inspired to share cooking ideas for many years. We've written about food, we've blogged about food, we've had our own farm, and we had our own. We grew our own vegetables. We were almost fully self-sufficient, weren't we, for quite a few years? And whenever anyone wanted to talk about food, I was there and happy to talk about it. So I suppose we inspired ourselves in many ways. I would say that there are some TV series like River Cottage with Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall, and we have a version of River Cottage in Australia as well, which is set not far from where I live, and those sort of channels. I love that sort of foraging for food and origins of food type things as well.
Some new people coming in saying hi. AK Pop said she's just arrived, and then Princess Roxana, she loves you.
Thank you.
Gummy Worm 11 says hi.
Hi, Gummy Worm 11.
Mr. Safety Forever is grateful for your channel. Thank you. New people coming in.
Camping Jason, you said sigh. I'm not sure what that was in relation to. Maybe I missed see the comments go up, and I'm trying to read both sets of comments. River Cottage is awesome. The original River Cottage. I tell you what, River Cottage. I actually got really inspired by what Hugh was doing. I was a little disappointed because I actually drove down to where he filmed the River Cottage in the UK, and I've been to the location also where they filmed River Cottage in Australia, and I was a little disappointed to find that Hugh actually didn't live there or even spend the time. They used to just drive down from London, film the episodes, and then leave, abandon the property and go back up. So that was a bit of a cop out and a bit of a disappointment. A lot of the truths behind a lot of these things are not quite as they seem, but it doesn't detract from what those sort of series inspire. And if you don't know anything about River Cottage, it's to do with getting away from the city. It's something that Michelle and I have done ourselves many times over our lifetime. You know, broken the mold, getting away from learning how to produce food from its very basic ingredients, which is what I am passionate about, and healthy, good, healthy food, and sweet, delicious junk food as well, so I can't say I have any one sort of ethos. Have I ever cooked with marijuana? No, Jason. I know that marijuana can be used for baking. I know people that have baked brownies with marijuana and all sorts of different things. So I know it's one of those things. I think gastronomically, as a flavour, it adds almost nothing of any great benefit to a dish. So apart from its psychedelic sort of effects, I don't think marijuana is like an ingredient that you want to sprinkle in the latest barbecue that maybe you're doing. Okay, Byron, I'll check that channel out. It's not one I've come across. Gummy Worm says, what's my favourite kitchen tool to use? That's a really difficult question. I suppose my favourite kitchen tools are my knives. They're the thing that I take around with me. I use a brand of knives called Wusthof. And this isn't a plug. We're not sponsored in any way, but I do love the German blades. They're actually really durable. I had some global knives before that were the Japanese. The blades break too easily if you're a proper cook, a proper chef working. You know, if you get anything near the bone. The Japanese blades are very good for some styles of cooking, but the Wusthoffs actually are really good for all styles of cooking. So they're probably my favourite cooking utensils.
Yeah, you like to do things by hand.
If I can, I like to do things by hand. Actually, I'm still looking for a good whisk. I have been looking for a good whisk for a long time. As you travel, you buy a whisk and you find it's all sort of floppy, it's got no stiffness to it, or you find it's too stiff and it has no agility to it at all. And I have been looking for over a year for a good whisk. I want a regular balloon whisk that has some ability to bend and whip, but also a lot. You need a lot of wires to actually beat volume into things. It's no good having 4 or 6 wires. You've got to have 12, 13, 14 wires, and I just haven't found one I like at the moment. Kitchen fork I eat with, yes. Which reminds me, is it time for strawberry cheesecake? Anybody? How much of this have I eaten? It's early in the morning. This is my breakfast. Don't forget, I'm having strawberry cheesecake. On the top, by the way, those of you that didn't hear early on, I've made this sort of strawberry jam jelly. Just taken some strawberries and cooked them down in some sugar. Added a little bit of gelatine into it, and it's beautiful. This smells as good as it tastes. Any other questions, Hon, that I need to cover before we?
So Jan likes how you end the video with share the love.
Share the love. Yeah. I think it comes from the idea that when I make something, I'm trying to inspire people with not just get out there and try and cook this, but also to, I hope, try and make their days a little bit better. I mean, the whole concept of my bright chef jackets is to be not just controversial and stand out, but to make people think that life is not meant to be plain and grey and vanilla, and life is meant to be a little bit more than that. You know, we all understand the trudgeries of day-to-day living, and so I think it's important to break that mould. I've always been that way. I've always had that sort of ethos. So when I give the love I try to give through the videos. I think share the love is just something that came to mind and became apparently. I think somebody said to me once, "Oh, I like your catchphrase, phrase, share the love," and I hadn't even noticed it. You sort of look back and say, "Oh yeah, I say that." So yeah, love to you, Chris. Good night, buddy. And I think we've been on longer than I expected to be. I'm not sure because I have no clock or timer around me whatsoever. If I pop over to one other page, we have been on, oh crikey, nearly 2 hours. I thought we might end up doing an hour, so sorry, we have been on for 2 hours. Nobody will watch this back. Who cares? At the end of the day, it's just nice to catch up with everybody and see how well you are. I hope everybody is doing well, by the way, and I hope they're having a fantastic year. And I think also, if you talk to me in the comments, if you need inspiration with food and things, there's yeah, I'm always there, hopefully, in the comments. It is getting a little tricky sometimes when the comments get so busy. Like I was sick with a cold last week, so I missed 5 or 6 days. It took me absolutely days to catch up with the comments. But I do love to hear what you people are doing, and I try to remember to reply to you all. Torreson. Hey Steve, love your channel. If it's not been asked before, what have you done in your life to enable yourself to travel? Now, actually, that was a question that I meant to answer. It's a really complicated question to answer. What have I done? Michelle and I have lived quite frugally over the years, so we're quite careful. I think sometimes people don't realise just how little we spend sometimes. But also, travelling is not as expensive if you know how to travel. Like, I was talking with a friend of mine, Steve Dolby from Steve's Cooking, the other day, and he went away for a holiday to Disney. I think the thing cost thousands, you know, just for a week in Disney World. It cost him thousands of dollars. We talked about this, and actually to go to VidCon cost me $4,000 or $5,000. But when you go away on a holiday, it's you kind of don't mind. Well, I do, but I mean, generally you don't mind spending. Oh, I'm going to spend $3,000 and go away for a week with the family, or $5,000. I don't know how much people spend. But we don't spend that sort of money when we travel. We probably spend less than we used to spend living at home in Australia, because we're always very cautious about what we spend. So there is that. There's an element of savings from businesses that I've been involved with in the past, and we just it's a mindset as well, I think, sometimes. And that's, I made a channel a little while ago called Stepping Off the Edge, which I haven't been good at keeping up together. But stepping off the edge to me is all about a lifestyle, or it's taking that initial step. Every time I meet people, they say, "Oh, I wish I could do what you're doing," and I say, "Well, you can." And they say, "No, because this, because this, because this," and there's always many reasons why they can't. But actually, I have all those same limitations, but we just choose to do it. And you often find when you step off the edge and do things that actually it comes right. It comes right, and you've just got to have that strength of your conviction. So what enables us to do it is the fact that we don't consider it. We just get on and do it. We are not infinitely wealthy. We do have some sources of income, but I probably spend a lot less than most of you spend living in your regular day-to-day living. So I hope that answers that to a degree. It's not fully in depth. I can't share every single last detail of our lives, but hopefully that answers some. Any other questions now?
Pink Elephant TV1 says hi.
Hi, Pink Elephant TV1.
Jason tried the beef jerky. He likes the beef jerky recipe.
Yes, with marijuana.
Yes.
Look, yes, Heine's chicken rice I have had. The chicken rice here is great. The chicken rice up in Malacca was great. The chicken rice in I would know if somebody says to you in Malaysia, "Where's the best chicken rice?" Shut up, don't answer them, because you'll always get the wrong answer. There is generally the chicken rice is fantastic. Actually, where was it? Where they were making it wrapped in the paper? They were doing that. Oh, that was in Ipoh, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Ipoh has great chicken rice. There are lots of places in Malaysia where you can have, and they're all the best. And so is the Singapore chicken rice. That'll upset some people.
Pink Elephant TV1 made your beans.
Beans are great, aren't they? I love making homemade beans. You can make stacks of them, and they cost next to nothing. If you like those sort of Heinz baked beans. Mind you, Heinz baked beans or baked beans of any brand, shouldn't really say a brand, should I? Baked beans are not expensive to buy as well, but when you make your own, they're just sort of like fun. You can mess with them. Now, all my American friends want to know why we didn't put bacon in our beans, and bacon and beans is not a thing anywhere else in the world. And yet bacon and beans seems to be not only a thing, it seems to be like the most common way of having your beans. And I think it comes possibly from the old sort of like the settlers, the original settlers used to they cook their meats. Mostly they would be cooking bacons and things, so they would use the juices from the bacon and cook their beans. But I'm not 100% sure. But bacon and beans is not a thing in Europe or Australia for that matter. It's quite unusual to people. Baked beans are a vegetarian dish, and I think it's one of those dishes actually that you can almost exclusively live off of. I think I read that somewhere. It's probably entirely nonsense, but I can imagine, because you have your sugars in there, you have your vegetables in there, you have your protein, you have your starches. So it's possible. I do actually love baked beans. What is the must-have food you plan to have this trip that you don't enjoy last time in Malaysia, if any? So a food that I ate everything in Malaysia when I was here last time. I don't think there's anything I missed. I'm kind of revisiting foods that I enjoyed last. We're not here for that long. We plan to just enjoy the foods that we enjoyed last time we were here. So, and actually some of the recipes that I have yet not been able to share with you on YouTube, that'll be done at a later date. Right, I think we're going to wrap this up. Hopefully, it's been fun. I've hopefully answered a lot of your questions. I'll keep watching the questions here on the channel for a little while. As I said to you, I probably haven't said half the things I wanted to say. We are in a kitchen at the moment, has very little. I've got one frying pan and one pan and an awful little induction hob that doesn't work that well. And we are going to be doing at least a month's worth of videos, 2 a week, savoury and sweet dishes. So look out for those. I think we're going to do. Are we going to do a nice chili of some sort? We're going to do these will be simple chilies. So a beautiful chili. We'll probably do an Indian dish of some sort. I've already been experimenting with a simple risotto, and I'm calling these student meals because it's often when you find yourself in an apartment that's got very little that's the time you need that inspiration. We haven't got an oven here at all, and we haven't got many appliances, so So it's going to be good. It's going to be good fun. Anyway, love to you all. I'm going to get off. Jonathan on Facebook from Malaysia. Oh, Jonathan. How are you, buddy? I'm sorry, I'm just about to roll this one up to the end. Questions are coming through. Crumpet recipes, yes, I do. I'll do them one day. I think, have I made crumpets on a live show or anything?
No.
I'd love to get back into doing those live cooking shows that we did in Australia for a little while. That would be fun. Love to you all. I have no idea how to stop this. I'm going to stop my Facebook. Goodbye, Facebook. Love to you. So that's the Facebook video ended. Love to everybody in YouTube world, and I hope any of my friends that are over there in VidCon are having a good time and enjoying themselves, and we hopefully will get back to the USA. I would love to do a little bit more on the East Coast, so be good. How do I stop it? So I think I've got to stop my stream from here. Love to you all, share the love. See you next time. And Tammy, hit me up if you need to know how I got this chat to stay up on the screen. Be good.